You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Today on our Weight Loss Wednesday show, we're going to be talking about low-carb diets and how to transition off of them for long-term health, long-term metabolism, and kind of long-term overall energy and vitality. So let's first talk about low-carb diets. What is a low-carb diet? Why would someone be using it? And are there benefits? And then kind of like we'll go from there. What are the long-term repercussions and why you might want to transition off? So a low-carb diet, in most people's opinion, is below 100 grams of carbohydrates per day. That will include vegetables, all sorts of different starches, and it will include fruit. So really, what is a carbohydrate if we want to get down to the basis level? A carbohydrate is anything that will break down eventually to sugar. And that includes all fruit, all starches such as your root vegetables like sweet potatoes and yams and yucca and all those great things. It also includes all sorts of grains such as wheat, oats, buckwheat, rye, any of those types of starches as well. And it includes vegetables. Now, a lot of people don't include vegetables as carbs because they have a low net carb, meaning like there's a lot of fiber in there, right? But you would still include vegetables in that because vegetables still break down to glucose or sugar at their very lowest molecular level. So when we're looking at that specifically, we have to say, okay, 100 carbs or less per day. And again, a lot of people are going down to 50 grams of carbs or less per day. What I look at as a low carb diet is really below 100 carbs because, again, we do this all day long. Literally, we're doing around 2,000 appointments per month. We have more data than I would say almost anyone in the world, ongoing data as well, because that's over 200,000 client appointments at both of our locations in Boston. And of course, we're doing health coaching, Skype online every single day as well. So here's the thing. Why would we recommend low carb? Well, let me just make one note. Low carb, let's not confuse that with keto. Keto-based diets is getting the body into ketosis. Now, there's a lot of interchanging of those two words, low carb and keto. Most people aren't in a state of ketosis, even though they're on a so-called keto diet. Just please keep that in mind. Most people are following a low carb diet, not a keto diet. You actually need to get into ketosis to be on a keto-based diet. So let's not confuse the two. I know keto is so-called, it's popular right now, but from the most part, people are following low carb diets. Okay, so let's talk about low carb. I'll talk about low carb versus keto in the future and why I'm not recommending keto. What I'm recommending right now is low carb. Now, low carb is good for people who are trying to lose weight initially. Let me just tell why. Why would this be important? So again, you can be a big proponent of eating a lot of fruit, eating a lot of vegetables, eating a lot of root vegetables, whatever it might be. But keep in mind, we cannot always box everyone into one particular group, okay? I believe in fruit. I believe in root vegetables. I believe in all these things as well, but not for everyone in the beginning. And here's why. A lot of people, especially the endomorph body type, okay? That's the larger body type. Larger joints, rounder head, fuller face, kind of small neck right on top of the shoulders, more barrel-like, we'll say, body, larger calves. They're more prone to gaining weight, okay? That's not a bad body type to have. Like, I'm not saying anything negative against it because the endomorph has the best immunity. They really do. They usually have the best hair, skin, and nails as well. There's pros and cons to every body type. That's just the way it is. But this particular body type, so that's a genotype, but anyone's phenotype could become the kapha or endomorph body type, meaning like you could put on a lot of body weight, okay? So when you have put on or you struggle with losing weight in the first place, you are most likely not burning fat to the best of your ability. And hopefully that's, pretty apparent. What happens is your body stops utilizing glucose or sugar efficiently. So a lot of people want to talk about becoming fat adapted. What I like to talk about is becoming glucose or sugar adapted. People try to stay away from sugar because they can't handle it. Why can't you handle it? Why is no one asking that question? Why can't you eat fruit without you gaining weight? That's not normal. Normal is not going onto a keto diet. All right, I want to step back before I go on a big tangent here. Okay, the bottom line is this. You want to be able to use carbs, fats, and proteins all appropriately. If you can't use any of those and all of those together, it just means that you're not oxidizing your food properly. That doesn't mean we should shift one way or the other, but I'm going to tell you right now, in the beginning, you shift away from carbohydrates. You do that because you need to lower glucose in your body, lower sugar in your bloodstream. Why? So that you stop producing so much insulin, which is taxing on the pancreas and taxing on your body in general. It ages your body faster, ages your tissues faster, leads to greater oxidation, greater free radical damage, and promotes fat storage in your adipose tissue. So we lower carbs initially. And the reason we do that, again, is to lower blood sugar to healthy levels, not low blood sugar, but healthy blood sugar levels. That then lowers insulin levels. When insulin levels lower, guess what? Now you can start burning body fat again, okay? But you won't start burning body fat while you have higher levels of sugar and higher levels of insulin in your blood. Really difficult to do, really challenging from a physiological standpoint. Okay, so it's a good thing to do for anywhere from 4 weeks to up to 12 weeks or so. That's enough time. Why is that enough time? That's enough time to change over the majority of the red blood cells in your body. Now, if your red blood cells and your cells in general have changed and that cell membrane is more amenable to then being able to absorb glucose or sugar, so meaning that it's more insulin sensitive, the insulin shuttles the sugar then into the cells, allows the mitochondria to use it as energy, then you're going to then be able to use carbs again as a good fuel source, but you'll keep it balanced, of course. And I'm going to go through that exactly today. Okay, so how does it work and why wouldn't you want to do it forever? And that's why I'm talking about transitioning off of low carb. You wouldn't want to use low carb forever, and the reason is this, that if you go too low, meaning like below 50 grams or so, and again, I lab test. So I'm giving you real world, not podcasts, not articles that you find on Google. I'm giving you real world. I see real people in my practice, all different body types. Here's what happens. If you go too low carb for too long, meaning like no fruit, no root vegetables, no starches at all, susceptible people will begin to lower their own metabolism. They could eat 1,200 calories a day or less and still not lose weight. Their thyroid could begin to become lowered as well. They start to get low thyroid or hypothyroid. Their TSH level starts to rise, okay? Their adrenal glands start to produce more cortisol because their body believes it is a state of famine or fight or flight, okay? People begin to get some brain fog because their brain, which loves to utilize glucose or sugar as a predominant fuel source, no longer has access to that. Now, keto people will argue, well, your body can use ketones, your brain can use ketones. Sure, but that is not its preferred fuel source. So what I'm talking about is staying balanced. Why shift your body way to the left or way to the right? Why not allow it to be in a state of equilibrium, which is always what it chooses, which is always what leads to the longest, healthiest life? Okay, so as we start to transition off of a low-carb diet, we can't just jump back into massive amounts of carbohydrates because your body has to become then adapted to eating more carbohydrates. So here's what we do first. If you're on a straight vegetable-based diet, meaning like you have your proteins, you have your fats, and all of your carbs are coming from vegetables, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, okay? And what are we going to do first? I like to add fruit back in first, especially berries. Why? They're low glycemic. They're packed with fiber, which is going to buffer the glycemic response, okay? So your spike in blood sugar will be buffered. And they contain so many phytonutrients and antioxidants that your body needs to stay disease-free and healthy. We were meant to eat berries as humans. That is a normal food as our hunter-gatherer population, humanity, physiology. We would walk around and we would see berries and we would eat them. They didn't fight back. They provided a very nutritious fuel source. And every culture that's been studied eats berries, they eat roots, they eat those specific things that are very easily accessible to them. That's normal and that's natural. I like to add the berries back in either post-workout, post-exercise when your body's going to soak them up, and or in your smoothie in the morning. I like to do a half a cup to 1 cup for people starting off right away of typically wild blueberries. Frozen wild blueberries are great. You keep in your freezer. They're always there. And that's what I recommend. Again, we use the daily nutritional support. We add that in with the blueberries. You get all the nutrition you need. It's absolutely fantastic. I've talked about that on previous shows. You can check that out as well. Okay, so after you do the berries, what I like to say is this. As a healthy human being, you never need to eat additional carbohydrates except fruit and vegetables. Let me repeat that. You don't need to eat other forms of carbohydrates except fruits and vegetables to be healthy. Fruits and vegetables are all the colorful ones. They are what was given to us and is meant to be our predominant fuel source or predominant form of volume of food in our diet. You should be predominantly plant-based. There are no studies saying that eating bacon promotes anti-cancer and promotes health. Zero studies. There are thousands of studies that say eating fruits, brightly colored, and vegetables, brightly colored, kill cancer cells, promote longevity, and reverse disease. That's irrefutable no matter what your diet is. You should be, and as a health practitioner, if you're listening to this too, promote predominantly a plant-based diet. What does that mean? Mainly vegetables and some fruit in there as well. So what will you increase then? More fruits and vegetables in your diet. Okay, if you are still maintaining good health and you're still losing weight, you're meaning like you're progressing with this. So I'm giving you, literally, I give everything that I do in my practice away for free on this podcast. This is exactly what we do. We just fine tune it and customize for each individual. If you would like to do nutrition coaching with us, all you have to do is you can just email us at support@stephencabral.com. We'll get you set up. We will customize a nutrition plan with you with one of our dietitians, nutritionists, health coaches. We can do that. But please just listen to the episode first and you'll get what we do. So after that, what will you then do? You will then add, so if you're doing well with that, you'll add in some type of root vegetable for lunch. So you can add in sweet potatoes, yams. One of my favorites is Okinawan yams or Okinawan sweet potatoes or Japanese yams. They're absolutely delicious. They're low glycemic and they are part of the Blue Zones diet. They are part of that anti-aging diet. Before the Okinawan diet changed, longest living people in the world, you would find them eating a great portion, about half, in these sweet potatoes. They're actually purplish white on the inside, packed with phytonutrients, packed with anti-cancer, again, nutrients that we don't even fully know about yet. So that's what I would do. Add a half a cup at first of a root vegetable starch, like parsnips and other things like that, to your lunch. Again, if you're still losing weight, doing great, feeling healthy, then you can add that to a full cup if you would like, okay? And then after that, and only after that, would you then start to explore, if you choose to, some gluten-free oats or some other starches as well. That might be rice, it might be oats, it might be buckwheat, it might be quinoa. I'm not a big gluten fan, especially in the United States. It's a giant mess of pesticides, hybridization, and just gut-based inflammation. Remember, there's no anti-inflammatory wheat. Like there's no healthy version of it. Yes, if you do sprouted wheat and you do wheat berries and you do it in its more natural form, it can be okay a few times a week for non-susceptible people, right? But if you're dealing with weight issues, if you're dealing with wellness issues, then you're not going to have it. Now, if you're someone who just wants to live a healthy life but still wants to include some bread or some of the foods that they enjoy, you can do what I do. And once a week, maybe twice a week, you'll have some of your favorite foods that be gluten-based, right? And that's only after you get healthy. That's only after you've lost the weight. So that is exactly how we recommend our nutrition protocols for people. That's how we transition off of low-carb diets. And you know what? People love it. First of all, they love getting results, right? So we help people lose 3 to 5 pounds minimum their first week, 5 to 10 pounds your first week if you're doing the Dr. Cabral detox. Then we start to transition in back some of that fruit. Who doesn't love fruit? Who doesn't love berries? Like, they're delicious and they're great for you. We add those back in. Smoothie first, and then post-workout, great as well, or mid-afternoon snack. After that, we're adding in some of those root vegetables as well. Everything's going well. We can just keep increasing those amounts till your body finds out what's right for it. Do you see what we just did there? We used bio-individuality. We don't know if your body can withstand 75 grams of carbs per day, 100 grams, 125 grams, 150 grams of carbs. We don't know. But all we have to do is we don't have to measure. We just use this specific protocol to ease them back into the diet. You will find what is right for you. You might be someone who does this. A lot of my private wellness clients and a lot of the private people that my nutrition team work with, they do this. Mainly just fruits and vegetables. And then they do 1 to 2 cheat meals a week where they just literally go off the rails and they eat whatever they want for their starches. And that's what works best for them. So they can't do it every day with those starches, but they can once or twice a week for their favorite cheat meals. That gets that out of their system, and then they just go back to their fruits and vegetables. And that works great as well. You can find a plan that works for you, guaranteed. If you're struggling with weight loss, it's only because you don't have the plan that's right for you. If you use a plan like the one that I just mentioned, you will get the results you're looking for. So again, if you've been struggling for a while, my highest recommendation is the 21-day Dr. Cabral detox. Okay? Then after that, transition to the morning AM smoothie, which is the daily nutritional support. You're going to get so much benefit if you only do that. Remember, that's why it was created. It was created because I can't work with 1 million people. It's simply not possible. I wish I could. I honestly wish I could. I would really love to. I also wish I didn't need to sleep at night because then I could just, keep doing all of these specific things as well. But these are all things that we need to do to stay healthy, and I have to keep myself healthy as well. Now, if you can't do that, then of course, you can always do the Dr. Cabral detox because again, 1 week is less than a week's worth of food. So, there's no actual real cost to it. You can justify it however you choose to. That will teach you healthier eating, and then you will transition off of it just as I discussed here today. Okay, the second thing you could do is if you wanted to, you could also speak with one of our nutrition coaches. You just email support@StephenCabral.com. We'll get you set up. All right. We'll let you know if it's right for you. We'll get you set up with a consultation, and they will come up with all of these different sample meal plans for you. Typically, you're doing an every other week call with the nutritionist. So twice a month, you get on a call, you tell them their progress, you're emailing them every week. It's amazing. People get phenomenal benefits. And of course, if you're in Boston, you can meet with our team, whether it's personal trainers, nutritionists, you name it as well. So hopefully that helped today. And again, if this information can help anyone else who's struggling with wellness, who's struggling with weight loss, who's just really confused about nutrition, low carb, all of those things in general, I do believe that it would benefit them if you could share this show with them. Really do appreciate you helping to spread this message. Thank you once again. Did you know that the body really only becomes sick or imbalanced in only 2 ways? Over time, you become deficient in vital nutrients, and you also accumulate toxins internally and from the environment. As those nutrients diminish and you increase your total toxic load, your body then begins to show the first signs of dis-ease. It's actually quite predictable, and the good news is that if we know how you began to fill up that proverbial rain barrel, we also know how to empty it to begin the healing process. I was fortunate enough to learn this ancient healing process from my mentor after suffering from debilitating diseases for close to a decade. It was only when I began to implement these techniques did I finally overcome my illnesses and go on to live a life of energy and vitality that I now enjoy. I'd like to share with you now what I discovered after traveling all over the world and how to combine the best of ancient healing wisdom with state-of-the-art science. Allow me to teach you exactly how I've been able to help over 250,000 people to empty their rain barrel and begin to transform their body and lives into what they've always hoped they could be. To get your copy of the international bestseller, The Rain Barrel Effect, simply go to StephenCabral.com/rain barrel.